It has been many, many years figuring out not only what it is that's been holding me back from writing consistently, but also learning how to fix it. And although for me it has been a long and meandering journey, you get to find out right now, or at least over the course of these few minutes. I can't download all the information into your brain. Can I? No. So the first issue that was really obvious to me that I was really aware that I needed to fix was screen fatigue. My eyes would just get super tired. I couldn't concentrate for very long. Sometimes I'd just stare at the screen and go, no, instantly I know today that I cannot write because my eyes will not let me. And I have been told, oh, get a screen glare thing, get something glasses wise. And I didn't want to buy anything because you can buy stuff and it might not work. And what I discovered are several things that have been really helpful to me. First of all, change your font color from black to dark gray. That means you don't have that stark contrast that can really kind of affect the eyes. Second thing I did, I changed the background color of my document. Mostly I work in a really soft pastel blue. Sometimes if I need to kind of freshen things up, I go greens or purples, but the whole thing is it needs to be a soft, light color. The third thing, a lot of people are going to hate me for, is the font. Now I was using Charter, and Charter is fine and is lovely, and it's a really soft and easy font on the eye. However, I was still getting a bit eye fatigued with that, and so I use Comic Sans in bold and big letters. And that, I haven't had a single instance of eye fatigue since I've done it. So do not knock the Comic Sans. If you've got a dyslexic font or an easy eye font that you would prefer to use, by all means use that. But this is the one that has worked for me. Maybe I could get Charter to work if I made it in bold and blah, 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 blah. I actually quite like the look of the font. I don't really know why there's so much hate for it. Of course, I won't publish it in Comic Sans. That would just be ridiculous. But to get the words down without eye fatigue, this is definitely worth it for me. The next thing for me was mindset. Now, I accidentally trained myself to do things that I wanted to do or needed to do, but just couldn't get the impetus to do by going, but I can listen to an audiobook or I can listen to a podcast. And that has really just kind of given me the oomph to get up and do it. Not so with writing, because I cannot listen to an audiobook or anything like that whilst writing because the stories would clash, obviously. So I thought, music. Yes, but the problem is then I'd have to choose the music and then the music would change, or if I chose the same song it would repeat and it would pull me out of the story anyway because I'd be aware of a tonal shift. So that wasn't going to help. Next I tried nature sounds and I had a similar problem with that. Anything with bird song in it, if you get a pigeon in there, I'm just right out. People were suggesting snacks. Have a treat when you sit down to write, like light your candles. I cannot light a candle. I'm in a rented property that prohibits candles and I'm clumsy, so I would knock it over anyway. And snacks do not last in this house. And then my friend and fellow writer suggested Skyrim music. Skyrim? I don't play it, I don't know. I've been told Skyrim by somebody who is also not a gamer, but I've also always thought Skyrim because it just seems to work for me. Anyway, Skyrim music has been the key. However, what was really intriguing for me is the music, it comes with nature sounds over it. And I tried the bonfire one and that was really good. Unfortunately, there was howling in that and that pulled me out. So I tried a waterfall one and that was fine. And then I tried the rain one and it is 2 hours long. And the first time I listened to it, I wrote for 2 hours straight. Nothing has really kept me in that space for that long. So the mindset for that was built. However, it still, when I was grumbly, didn't pull me in. And then one day I just happened to be doing Duolingo. I'm learning Welsh at the minute. And the thing is, once I've learned Duolingo, my brain has warmed up a bit. I've already got my headphones on, so it's really easy to just transition to opening up the Skyrim music and my Word document and just going from there. Now, people do say that you should maybe write a short story or just kind of scribble something out to get you into things. But for me, if I'm going to be writing a story, all that story energy gets taken up. Whereas something like Duolingo, I don't tend to write for as long, but I am writing more consistently, and that is the important thing. So It doesn't have to be snacks, I'm saying. On top of that, if I'm still kind of getting to the end of Duolingo going, I just still don't want to, I given myself the caveat of just 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And if after 5 minutes I still don't feel like writing, I don't write anymore. It's clearly not the time for me, but however, that has not happened once. I feel kind of like a writing prima donna because I need to have exactly the right, I need my brain worn up, I need the right font, I need all the pretty colours done. Hey, it's working for me. I have written more consistently recently than I have done in a very long time, and I have been battling with the very much not wanting to write. Because somebody has said to me, if you need to work so hard to figure out how you want to write, why? Clearly you don't love it, clearly you don't like writing. They didn't say it like that, they were kind of nice about it. But that was kind of like the crux of the matter, is if I need to try so hard to get into writing, then maybe I just don't enjoy writing, but I really love writing. However, it takes a lot of mental load to do it, especially as somebody who cannot visualize very well. I can't just kind of like get the character in my head and then write down what they do. I have to write down to a certain point of what I know is going to happen. And that at that point, it very much is I have to close my eyes and go, if they do this, then this happens, and if they do this, then this happens, but then this can't happen, and then blah, 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 blah. And that can get very mentally draining, and a body knowing that going in will not willingly go for it. But if I'm just going, that's just 5 minutes, I've got my tunes going with the nice rain effect. And I tell you what, on one of the hottest days of the year so far, I'd sat and I put my rain sounds on and I just wrote, and I forgot that it was hot for a glorious hour because I was just in the world of writing and rain, and I felt slightly cool as a result. I don't know what it is about rain, but I think it's just kind of like the coziness aspect of it. You're kind of inside, cocooned, you're safe, it's wet outside, you don't have to go out for anything, the sun's not out, it's fine. You're in, it's cozy, you can write and do the creative cozy things. I think that's kind of where I'm going with the rain over everything else. You would have thought it would work with waterfalls, but there's a very specific pitch with waterfalls. It's a much higher pitch that I don't find quite as comfortable or relaxing. If I'm actually going to a waterfall, it's absolutely lovely, but sitting and listening to it inside, not so much. So those are some things that I've learned about myself. The next issue I've come across is I created a problem when I solved a problem. So because I struggle to visualize, I struggle to remember where I am in the story and what needs to happen next. So I wrote everything that needs to happen under kind of like these little chapter headings so that I can see how far I've come along and where I am in the story. The problem is I have 51 points. It's not kind of like a fixed thing, but I know the points are there and I can see them, and I've written 40,000 words. I can see that I've still got over half left to go, and I'm just scrolling through and going, I'm never going to be finished this book. This book is going to be too long, blah, 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 blah. So what I've done is I've split my plot points out between different Word documents. So the first one's got 12 and the rest have got 13 in, and that means I did the first quarter. I was like, oh, I've done a quarter. I've done a quarter of the book. And it felt like, because it was in a different document, that I'd written that book. So it's just kind of this mental lifting of stuff that I don't have to look at. It's just not as visually overwhelming. It does mean that if I want to look up something, I have to open another document, but really that is absolutely not a problem. I would rather have to open up other documents rather than going, oh God, I've still got so much to write, and getting completely overwhelmed and just not feeling like I'm making progress, and therefore feeling less like I want to write. The last thing I will say is the thing that's also helped me the most is really sorting out my world building notes. I have been working on this series since I was a teen because I thought I was writing a book when I was a teen, and I put it to one side for years, and then I wrote a short story and my other half went, oh, this has got legs. So I started to try and write that book, but that didn't feel like the beginning of the story either. And so I then had a dream in which an idea occurred to me, and then that was the start of that series. And then I put it all together, and I realised what I've been doing over the years is not writing one book, but 7. So finding the thread of all of that has obviously left a lot of notes all over the place, and I have been swayed many times into thinking, I need all these character sheets, I need this, I need that, I need the other thing. So I would start writing the world building stuff that I'd had and realizing I didn't need it and then stopping. But it also meant that the notes that I did need were scattered over many different documents, and I've tried over the years to kind of put them in one place, but I've never really figured out how I was going to have that done. I've tried putting it in a Word document, I've tried putting it in Excel, and I think because I didn't know what I needed, it was all a bit scattered and discombobulated and not very accessible. And now I've got a spreadsheet with everything in it, everything laid out as I need it. And that means anytime I get stuck with where I am, what the name of a thing is, I don't need to kind of go trawling through several documents to try and find it, to try and remember where it was, because it's all in this one document, very easily labeled. And so, yeah, that has also been very helpful in keeping me in writing, because it means I can just go, oh, what's that thing? Oh, it's that, rather than, oh, what's that thing? Half an hour later, oh, it was that. What was I doing? So that is my very long list of things that I do to help me keep writing and keep me writing consistently. I hope it continues to work, because it's taking me a very long time to figure it all out and put it all together. If it doesn't continue to work, I'm going to have stern words with myself, because I don't want to figure it out again. I don't know if anybody else has this many problems with getting just into writing, but I feel like I cannot be the only one who wants to write but just can't just always take that leap. It struggles to get into the act of writing quite so much if you don't have like a dedicated setup where you go to write, which I don't. It's all on my laptop. So, because it is a big ask to get into writing, because it takes mental energy, it takes time, it takes you feeling like if you're tired, it's like knowing the difference between, are you tired and you really shouldn't, or are you just, a bit tired and you can't be bothered. So the Duolingo for that is really the good litmus test for me. If I can do the Duolingo and I can comprehend this, then I can do writing fine. If I'm doing the Duolingo and I'm going, what are the words? Then maybe I would probably not be so good on the writing front. Because I've been seeing the same stuff saying, have snacks, have a good writing thing, have your music set up. Not everybody works like that, so I'm hoping that this helps other people who also don't work like that, unless it's just me, and I have learnt that I'm not always the only one. So it can't just be me, and I hope this helps you in some way. And I will, and if not, I'm just a writing diva and I have to own it. Anyway, I hope this video finds you well and that you have a nice whatever time of day that you are in, and I wish you happy writing and toodle pipkins. I don't like that toodle pipkins is now my go-to out. Bye!